Okay, so what we're talking about now is functions. We're going to start learning about some functions. I'm going to take some information that you got from junior high and we're going to build on that. So in your notebook, I want you to write functions. There we go. Function. That is what we're talking about. This is what our lesson is about. And I'm going to highlight that because I always like when my teacher gives me extra credit because I highlight it. Hint, hint. Now, what can I do? This is the statement that I'm focusing in on and what I'm hoping to get out of this when we go over this. And so I can, and the reason I have you write I can is because I want you to be used to saying that you can do some of this math stuff that you think you can't. So I can determine if a relation is a function by looking at the graph comma table, comma, list of points, comma, or mapping. So this is what we're going to be doing, is we're going to be working on how to look at some of these things, some of these features of a function, and know if it is or isn't a function. Next thing that we're going to have on this is our vocabulary. And again, I'm going to highlight this so it stands out and looks nicer. Now, the first word, of course, since this is about functions, is going to be function. So I've got that word written there. Now, my definition, a relation is a function if, and I want to underline that if, and I'm going to highlight it also because the if is very, very important. If every x value has exactly one, and I'm underlining that, and I am going to highlight my one y value. In other words, there are no repeated x values. Highlight that also, because that is what I've seen more people trip over, is the x values, repeated x values. Now we've got a few more words, so we're going to do domain. Our domain is our x values. And our range is our y values. So what are some other words that we can use for these? Let's see, there's independent, there's dependent, there's input, there's output. So these are all some of the same words for the domain and range. You've got your domain, you've got your range, you've got your x values, y values, independent, dependent, input, output. All these are the same words that have the same meaning, they're just different words. Now the function notation is f of x. And just like where I was talking with our range, our y values, our dependent output, this function notation is also just like our y values, just like our range. And so we say f of x. That's what we say. So when you look at f of x, the function of x, it's just like saying f of x is equal to 2x plus 1, or y is equal to 2x plus 1. You see that it's the same. It's just written differently. You know this. You've used this. Now we're going to be using it this way. There's no difference. Nothing changes other than this just looks a little bit different. And then the other thing that you have that's important is the vertical line test. Now, the vertical line test is where you're going to see if something is a function by how many places it crosses a vertical line. So if I have my graph here, and it's just a straight linear line like so, and I take my pen and I hold it over here, and I'm seeing it's crossing in one point at all times. But what if I have this one right here that's a circle? It's crossing both of that at the top and the bottom. So you see that it's got a place up here that it's crossing and a place down here that it's crossing. So this one is a function, and this is not a function. So we're going to be working on things like that. Now, just because it's a curve, that doesn't mean that every curve is not a function. You may have something that looks kind of like this. And when you put your line over it like this, it's not crossing in more than one place, so that's going to be a function too. So, now you have your domain and range and your function. You have all these definitions here. I'm going to highlight so they stand out. Function, domain, range, function notation, and vertical line test. Now you're going to have an opportunity to show me if you can tell what's a function and what's not a function. Be sure to use your notes. Thank you much.